Hey, welcome back. I have myself, and I have the best person ever.
Hi.
And so we were just discussing how we let Giselle Brett go last time, and we're 100% sure we haven't seen the last of her.
No.
And we're 100% sure that we should be understanding what the favor is from our best friend. Unbreakable, The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. You ready to do this?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do it.
It's like the Titanic.
I wonder what's gonna happen.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Scholes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Scholes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson," he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Scholes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which you refers. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
Like a Sherlock Holmes novel. I guess we'll be steamship. I guess we'll be meeting that Herlock Sholmes guy.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do it with me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the door was tainted in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim stored a message on the floor. Almost certainly the ink for this upset plot. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian down there. And the letters were all formed, suggesting he was conscious mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not seen this message. In fact, it was written by someone of a different nationality. This page seems just prior to the incident, by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what happened here?
Who are you? And what do you think you're doing?
No one must touch before maritime police comes. He must rush. That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. I need locked from inside.
Yes, the locked room. That mystery is a bigger thing.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you? And where have you come from? I'm
the waiter again?
Detective. One in the world.
I don't know.
Herlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard him.
Well, there's the girl again.
Yeah, but the other sailor kind of looked like the waiter from the last case.
But by the way, my hair is stubborn. There seems to, and I could be looking too much into it since we're not like even halfway through the game yet. But between the English woman in the last case, Riley, right? Or no,
Giselle.
Brett, Giselle Brett, and now this Russian man. I wonder if different nationalities will play more roles in stories and things like that. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Wait. I can't move.
Again?
What the? Why am I in handcuffs? So, you wake up now, We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. Don't tell me I'm defending myself again. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You found me then. Duh, we found you, and now you pay, criminal. How long were you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, sorry. Now you have been found, it is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Is that Holmes or Sloane's? Ah. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Susato. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where is Kazuma? You pretend you do not know you are a wolf in the sheep's pelt. You are the killer, do not try to make excuses. What? Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Here, in this very cabin, that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs. Surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. Ooh, boy. Kazuma. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Ha 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 ha. Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else did you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor, I thought I was going to die. Yes, I still quite can't believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant, Miko Toba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point, surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. Anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I'll tell you what. Why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you in next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself.
I wonder what country we'll be in.
Murderer. Yeah. I wonder, and... No, I'm not a murderer. Duh, you said before, you said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on the ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Suicidal-san. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you two. Ah, those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Kazuma's death, about the incident. What would you like?
I guess about the incident.
Can anyone tell me what actually happened in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably, that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please, whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but he would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on this voyage. But this morning he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Suicidal-san arrived at this cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewmen forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-sama, collapsed on the floor. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Right. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream? And these handcuffs, they think I did it. They think I'm Kazuma's killer. When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Suicidal-san, you have to tell me. The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died. The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury, then. That's true, yes. Now I've told you everything that I know. You know, it's interesting. When we started the original trilogy, the second case, Maya, who reminds me of Suicidal-san, she was the apparent guilty party, and you had to believe her. And now it kind of seems like a role reversal where you're the one in trouble again. So it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. My head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything.
Stow away.
Alright. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes. I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, that would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you. But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? That's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I, that you ought to become a lawyer yourself? Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it. I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing, that he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then, it was darker than I've ever seen it before. Susato-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on the ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. If you're not the culprit, then tell me. What happened last night here in the cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? There's something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me, I didn't do it. I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there's no one else who could possibly have done this. Kazuma, I don't understand why. Why did this have to happen? I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime, you can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around, my hands tied, while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do, then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! Dang. Okay. What the? That was a Suicidal Takedown. Suicidal what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry, prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to? Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Suicidal-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. This?
No. He can't have put that over the door if he was already in there.
Oh, that's right.
Yes! Yes!
Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally he did the same last night as well. Ah. Yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you're sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Suicidal-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least. Thank you, so you finally believe me. I'm sorry, no. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What do you think I am, magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Suicidal-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Well, anyway, I should make a start investigating in here, examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Okay. Let's see. Okay. CG, the Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet you, can you really look at those characters without feeling shame knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on the ship. Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Suicidal-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Ah yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? I'm sure you're careful to look all around using left and right, aren't you? Now let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. Yeah.
What are the vent upstairs?
What's that?
The vent.
Where do you see the vent?
On the left.
I think it's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to, you're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough or something like that? I suppose maybe that's it. It's been 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. Because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. This is, yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talks about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really, that sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes. In the interest of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. Aww. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat when he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his home destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hi-ya! That's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important, something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? That's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah yes, I see it says "this way up" in Japanese. Which in hindsight I should have realized the foreign crewmen wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Suicidal Takedown.
Do the ink.
Oh, that's weird.
You can't?
Yeah.
Maybe you have to do the writing ink.
Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. It doesn't mean I wonder. Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago? As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. No, Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no, I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And he is investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Now, just imagining it, or does Susato-san almost look uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press X on people when they're in crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sight and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Okay. I wonder if there's anything else I should... Well, let me talk to him first. He looks so strange, unmoving. Excuse me. Excuse me, do you have a moment? This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings, I hope I haven't kept you long. What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. I'm sorry? What did you see? I feel like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course, my deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madame. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the beribboned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now, nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? And you're planning a revolution too? It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen. There's no way I... Explain yourself, tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, did you find yourself in the most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see. What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. Ha! I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Herlock Sloanes. Or maybe it's Sholmes. I think it's Herlock Sholmes. So it's really you, the actual Herlock Sholmes. The very same, the inimitable actual Herlock Sholmes. Do you know this man, Suicidal-san? The most famous detective in the world? Naruhodo-san. Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? I feel like we still got some stuff to do. So let's... Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes at the scene of the crime. Excuse me. What? I was wondering how's it going, the investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime? Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information, though. I have to keep trying. So last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Yet, of course not. Now back to the corner of room and make silent. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone, but I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. That's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was very tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But, did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Suicidal-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up being on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right, so he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no, does that mean poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Netsuki fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like that around with him, would he? And the mark beside it, what is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It is the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in this cabin. Okay, I think
Where are all the books on their sides?
the books have fallen over the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well? Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mown down at once. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps... it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess.
I wonder if there's a secret passage.
Perhaps. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Bura. Or Buria. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. What? What are you staring at me? Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. Now, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No, no, no. When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt, not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in and out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. I think we got most of everything here?
Look at that. That horn.
Yeah, the thing lights up. And if it has a check mark, that means we investigated it already. Looks like we might have gotten everything. So let's talk to this dude. And then maybe we'll show him the slip of paper and say, how did we do it then? So you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Herlock Scholes. Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, it is, was it? No, I have no I mean, I have hair. Oh yeah, I have no hair. I mean, please call me Scholes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rand's magazine full of wonderful short stories and interesting articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson. I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late.
Who just got killed?
Who?
Who got killed?
Kazuma.
In the last series, in the last case.
Professor Wilson, was it? But I think it's just like kind of a play on Watson.
Okay.
For this one, anyway. Why, this very moment I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really, I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in a subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture, fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And a trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I have demonstrated only a few short moments ago, how can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Let's see. Death or investigating?
What were you just investigating?
Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful, anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London Diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. But I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Suicidal Takedown is. Suicidal-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim, it would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, Banzai, Mikado, Nado Nado, I trust you're suitably impressed. Ha! But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. Ah ha 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 ha! So what was all that showing off about before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Scholes. I'm much obliged, my dear madame. The final entry here is Kazuma-sama's diary. Consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. Whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say. The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary was entered into the court record. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in this most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Scholes. I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open, and I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Herlock Scholes, was on board, and the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, 2 facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh really? 2 facts, you say? Okay. Would you like to know the facts or the deduction?
Your deduction.
Can we talk about your deduction before about me, I mean? The now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. The famously accurate? It was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part? Ah yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. So when was Kazuma a Russian? Sounds like Mr. Scholes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reason to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary, one who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, Villain Bolshevik. No, how could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Ah, please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details, the 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Ah yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all these particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included, there can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in the war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. So somehow, we're going to present this at some point, either in the trial to somebody, and it's going to have some relevance.
Well, you gotta remember, the girl from the last case went to Shanghai, and we were just there.
So do you think somehow this is connected and Dr. Wilson really is the visiting professor?
Maybe.
That'd be crazy. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. At the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two.
Like what?
Yeah.
Maybe that girl's in it. Ha!
Oh, this is interesting. You found something relevant, Naruhodo-san. Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I, but look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Scholes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novavik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear... You like that?
I do.
It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room. When the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Susato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novavich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry, so I don't think she's the other girl, but quite interesting that you had that guess anyway. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo.
Are there any other pictures?
Not just that. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me either. I have no idea what any of this says. The pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. It reads, Revolutionary Vilen Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Yes, you told us that before. It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell the tale. Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, wasn't he? The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he need only shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Sholmes.
Can you open it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't look like. So, I mean, that's... Okay. So, two facts. Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please, what two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes. But first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape with the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor.
Well, what does it say?
That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderobe maybe the name of the killer, a certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe, there at least, where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so, I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. You know, it's interesting, because your head's throbbing, I feel like someone knocked you out and then tried to frame you again.
Or that chicken is poisoned and they gave it to him, but he doesn't eat chicken and the other guy ate it. So he passed out.
Why is that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of a Russian people. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea the detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime scene had been entered into the court record. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that. Ah, yes, the train of reason that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining the train of reasoning to me, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. How many times... I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writing in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence, the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What, but why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter, no? There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Scholes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So, what were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you're the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Ha ha ha. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? Hmm? We must go investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ugh, as if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. This reason doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh no, it's just a crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. That's what you were saying. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes, what can I do for you? Oh yeah.
Told you.
I recognize that face, but it can't be. Still coughing up blood, are we? It is. I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosanaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew on board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to have joined the cover work, Inspector. Alright, go potty, I'll wait. Well, I mean, sometimes you gotta... I've done it before. I say, excuse me. So, I am quite curious about all of this. You know, it seems like it seems like just a way to make him out to be the killer, obviously. Wardrobe being what's written seems kind of weird. I mean, you would write wardrobe expecting the person who killed you to be in there the whole time. That's already a kind of a weird development, so I don't know.
She doesn't want here, not there. What's happening?
I'm just looking at stuff.
Come here, Iris.
If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Special orders, permission to investigate.
Special orders.
Alright. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Osogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead, and he entrusted me with ensuring that Osogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even be a possibility? I'm not sure, but these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Osogi-san a viable security escort, which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined what happened here inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, as Osogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not. Would really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now, they think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the cabin to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how.
Show him the paper on the door.
Yeah. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosanaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. I think I know. I don't even think it's that slip. To do the cabin, the diary, the speckled band, and the ventilator. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Oops, sorry. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me, the ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. The ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right, so if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Ostogi-san safe. It's the least I can do. Thank you. Let's see at the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at least. At last. Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out.
Why don't you go the passageway?
Yeah, we gotta do that first. First and foremost, we must get out of the cabin. Hopefully run to Gumshoe's ancestor.
What's that on the floor?
I don't know. Was it a mousetrap? Or no? Phew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation and steerage. Really, that must be awful. Oh, look over there. There's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose, like people in handcuffs? Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard, and ever since then I've been shut up inside the little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. Alright, what are you? Ah, trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan, although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what it's called, cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it now, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But, I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. Wow, cheese wasn't a thing.
I think that's why a lot of Asians are lactose intolerant, is because of how late the cultivation of cows and milk were into their country later.
Wow. I like how I just learned something new from this. Alright. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It's as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship, and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to see. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop, the ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Alright. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Oh, excuse me, we, need to get inside this cabin here.
Is that hair or cuts on his arm?
I think it's hair. The sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. This looks like a plan of the SS Buria. It shows each deck, too. Look. The Buria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan. Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship, and they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so? That's a huge book on top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer? That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask you something of you? You little third-class ladies' maid? Oh, we seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Suicidal-san. I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman Biff Stroganoff. Phew.
Beef Stroganoff.
What? Oh my god.
Is that not the play on it?
Yeah. Phew, the best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area. Here we are in finest port of Buria steamship for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place. You see, kings and queens in secret, that princess was gone. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in the ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Osogi's currently occupied? Suicidal-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da.
So yes.
I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin, at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Let's ask. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Osogi's? His name is Mr. Grimesby Roylott. Grimesby Roylott? I'm trying to figure out if this is there. Grimesby Roylott.
Grimsby Road? I don't know.
Grimesby Roylott. He is a very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, Even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important, is that right? That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff? Duh, all time, so criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about Student Boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Hits. Susato-san? Did you understand that? It was clearly a no.
Yep.
I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. You didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said no. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It's time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, all right. Bulkhead to second-class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand.
Well, if he leaves, maybe we can go in the room.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. This is it. Here's the cabin. Okay, let's do it. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. No one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Whoa. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Scholes. The fit is on me. I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Scholes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. Sure, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now. Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimesby Roylott, I believe? Yes, that's me. And you are... He's just the guy from the newspaper, I think. Oh. I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I'm a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be supposed to ask to open the small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk? Don't look at me. Oh my, did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook. Leave now, otherwise I'll call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylott. There's no doubt about it, this strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before the burly sailor returns. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You only addressed me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Oh, I thought I'd done the bag. Well, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of deduction into service.
Look, the bus case is ransacked just like the other one.
Yeah. Oh? And it would seem that the hour is upon us now, the time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what are you about to see may well astound you. I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time it occurs to me, is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes, I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering in my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. Well, what do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn, you are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Is it not? Oh no, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle. Oh yes, I read it out countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and now I've experienced the astonishing impact of the great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well, then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived from this pair of conclusions. So I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. What? Old man's identity. So the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now moving on. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front-page article, which, it would appear, you have also read, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals her true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Villain Bolshevik. Didn't he say that we were?
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell if he's playing us or he just changes.
I don't know, because he looks actually a little bit different than the guy in the photo, but he's also about to cut up that newspaper.
Yeah. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes, yes, a traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps, one slight enough to fit therein? Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? The careless coup betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. These actually seem like legit deductions. It doesn't seem like a joke.
Starting to doze.
Thus concludes Herlock Sholm's great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elemensky. Suicidal-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories were full of Mr. Sholm's brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other.
I said that.
Yeah, you said that. I didn't. Ah, yes, I recall our discussion earlier. And at the time, I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina, indeed a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years' worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain lightness in their bodies. Vinegar. For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity in self to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something has occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mr. Sato. There are just one or two key words and deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some key words in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man has a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. Ha ha! It's not that funny. Ah, and you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Oh, where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried, in fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Haven't saved the whole time. So it's a course correction. Now, I'd love to do the course correction, but I'm tired, and it looks like you are too, so we'll just call it a night, but we will course correct next time.